You know it, Rob. Hey team, welcome back. Dukes on Twitch here. Back today with some Eternal Weekend testing. This is my last stream, I believe, before Eternal Weekend. I might try to fit one in tomorrow night, but we'll see how we go. This is a pretty stock list. This is a list that I've been keeping on for a little while now. But there is one change, and there's one pretty noticeable change. It's Mother of Runes back in the deck. I'm not playing Once Upon a Time anymore. I just want to test out a list without Once Upon a Time and playing Mums. I couldn't really find room for it otherwise, without dropping something like Removal, but Removal is just so good right now that I think Mum's going to be a bit of a meta call for Eternal Weekend, where I think we're going to have a lot of players coming into the event with a bit of fair magic going on, and I kind of just want to shore it up. I know that Maverick in the past has a really good fair matchup, but I think it's also quite nice to have Mother of Runes against the decks where you have to rely on things like Thalia or Collector Oof on board to hopefully keep them there, I'm going to say. Because without Noble Hierarch, without Mother of Runes, there were a few times where I felt kind of vulnerable having Thalia or Collector Oof out against the deck where I really needed to keep it on the field. And outside of something like Caracas Thalia, there wasn't anything there. I tried out Sylvan Safekeeper as a Green Sun's target and also protection, but I didn't like it because I didn't think we could use our lands that much as a resource, which kind of hurt. Ramanap helped at getting lands back, but a lot of the time I didn't really want to sack lands to safekeep to keep some of the creatures alive, just because of things like Green Sun Zenith. You want to have a lot of mana around to actually play into Green Sun Zenith in the late game, and make sure your options are open. Same with Sylvan Library, you just want to have a lot of mana to actually pay a bunch of life for some cards, and then cast a bunch of cards in the same turn. Elder Gargaroth is an interesting one. I didn't think it would see modern play because it doesn't do anything when it comes down, but it does. I kind of think about the same thing in Legacy. The big issue is that I think if I was going to play something like Elder Gargaroth in Maverick, I would want to play it as a top end instead of something like Questing Beast, and it's just so hard to cut Questing Beast because the unique selling proposition of Questing Beast is that it actually impacts the board straight away, unlike a lot of your threats. Sometimes you can say that about the Scavenging Ooze or Collector Oof, but Questing Beast is just so nice because when you want a hasty creature and you want to kill a Planeswalker, or you want to get in that lethal, 4 or 5 damage, Questing Beast is your go-to. So I think that's a big reason. You would play both. Yeah, maybe in a green-white shell. The big issue that I have with Elder Gargaroth is that it doesn't do anything when it comes into play. That's probably the big concern for me, but I think it would be cool to see some lists with it. Obviously, it's a pretty hard card to get out of the way. The one issue is that it doesn't solve the issue of Bolt, Dreadhorde, Bolt, because it is a 6/6, I believe. But to have something else with reach in the deck seems pretty cool, so that might be worth it. The one reason I like Mum again is because of Scrib Ranger still in the deck. I really like Scrib Ranger, and to be fair, if I'm playing Scrib Ranger, I should probably be playing Mother of Runes as well. Mum also pretty good against the Rug decks. They do have Arcanist and Oko to deal with Mum, so she is a little bit less of an issue for Rug to deal with, but yeah, I think testing her at least and seeing how she goes is okay. The other big part is that we have now 10, I guess 11 X1s, but 10 humans that are X1s, which is pretty bad against the Plague Engineer decks, but we haven't been seeing that too much. Hey D5, thank you very much for coming back. So that could be a consideration. We'll see how that goes. Teeg's an interesting one. Teeg is always just a card that I've never been able to cut from the 75. I do still like it against even Tess and Ant. We'll see a little bit of play. It's great against the Khan decks. It's great against sort of Moon Stompy, which I think Moon Stompy is a pretty good deck to take to Eternal Weekend if you don't know too much of Legacy and you want to have some quick games. It's just one of those bears that's so hard to cut. I know Scrib Ranger has been getting cut a lot, and that does make sense. A lot of Maverick decks have moved away from a bunch of creatures that have tap abilities like Mother of Runes. So there is a consideration to drop Scrib if it isn't doing much other than just untapping a knight. But kind of in the same realm, I think. There's definitely, you know, maybe it's instead of playing Teeg, you just want another 1-drop piece of against combo, something like Deafening Silence, because, you know, we already have a pretty good amount of 2-drop permanents in like Thalia, Collector U for turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Zenith for 2. So, you know, maybe Teeg is too slow, but we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see what we play tonight, and hopefully this league goes pretty well. We are playing a Legacy League with play points. I cannot tell you the amount of Omnitel and Sneak and Show I've played against the last 2 days. Max, that kind of sucks because Maverick traditionally doesn't have a great any sort of show and tell deck is usually quite awful. You can run things like Oblivion Ring in the sideboard, which isn't too bad because it's not as narrow. You can bring it in some of the mid-range matchups, but it's traditionally a pretty rough matchup, so I hope I don't play against it. Yes, Sanctum Prelate is also another card that you could definitely play against combo. Really nice, especially in the green-white decks where you have access to the double planes as well. And you don't have access to things like Thoughtseize or Abrupt Decay, so you can maybe, you know, name 3 to keep Oko off the table instead of having to deal with it with something like Decay. But I've been really nervous for Eternal Weekend. This morning I woke up and I saw some tweets and I was like, ooh, I get really nervous before like big events. So it's kind of cool. I feel like if you're nervous, you definitely care about it. So it should be pretty nice. Hopefully get some of the nerves out tonight. Because I'll be streaming all Saturday and all Sunday night. We have one at 7 AM here on the Saturday. The Salt Mine? No way. I believe this is Goblins, but I'm definitely going to keep this. This is a pretty great hand. Hey D5, I hope you are well as well. 7 months is very cool. I very much appreciate it. Always nice to see you in chat. Are you going to play the Eternal Weekend? Or what are you thinking about? This is a nice hand because we have early mana acceleration. We have mana disruption in Wasteland. We have removal in Swords to Plowshares. Scrib Range is pretty much free on turn 2 because we have a forest jewel and a bird. So this should be pretty interesting. I think I'm going to get a Bayou because then we have access to all our colors. And I don't have to rely on the Birds of Paradise for a black. It is on Moto, so this weekend, I'm not too sure of the times for me, 7 AM Saturday morning, 5 PM Saturday afternoon, and Sunday 5 PM. Elo, you'd be interested because I am playing Mother of Runes in this list, so Scrib Ranger hopefully is better than usual. This is an interesting one. I think I'm just going to go Caracas Pass. I could go Canopy Pass and then play Scrib Ranger and draw a card in their turn. I think it's just Caracas and Pass. And then next turn we can go and get Knight with the Green Suns. And the nice thing about Eternal Weekend this year, D5, is that with your $25 entry, you get a little coupon on your account, which allows you to have a kind of a God account, which is awesome. So you get everything. Yeah, so these are literally this is all the sets in Magic. So you get access to every card for, I think, a week or so. I think I have this until next Wednesday, which is very cool. Oh, this is kind of looking like a snow deck? Obviously a snow deck. Maybe blue-white? Unfortunately, Wasteland here isn't looking the greatest. Knight of Autumn's actually quite nice. I'm going to keep cards in hand, and I'm going to use Scrib Ranger here to go green, untap this, return this, play this, Green, green. I could go for 5. That's pretty interesting. Huh. And just get Questing Beast and start beating down. I don't mind this. I think that's a little bit better against Knight. I think in this sort of matchup where they have basics out already, Knight isn't going to be as effective. Days. Okay. This could be a Jeskai Delver deck. Interesting. Access to any cards to steal a Maverick. Yeah, Wolf. There was definitely temptation. Maybe on the Sunday evening, I might try to get Turbo Depths through an Eternal Weekend. I was even thinking of doing back-to-back on Saturday, but I think that's a bit rough. I don't think I can... I don't think the quality of the stream is there if I do 7 AM till X. And then, what is this? Teferi. Okay. Up to 5. This is interesting. What are you on? This could be Blue-White Blade. The Ancient Tomb is really interesting. I'm definitely playing Thalia this turn, but is there any reason to do anything else? Can't really. Play Thalia. Play Wasteland. Take out their Ancient Tomb. Swing it to Fairy for 1. You White Omni? Interesting. Yeah, the Ancient Tomb's really interesting. So having Knight in hand is especially good here because it's probably the best thing I can put in off a show and tell. We already have the Caracas for a creature, so being able to hit something like Omniscience would be pretty nice. Ooh, no lands. That is really nice for us. So here, I'm going to play the Horizon Canopy because I want to draw a land here. I want to draw a spell. Knight's pretty good. Okay, so we have access to 1, 2, 3 mana. I think that's okay. I could potentially try to play the Hierarch, but I think this is fine. I should have done this all post combat because I can attack with Thalia first, and then post combat do all this because my opponent might want to like Swords to Plowshares Thalia and then force this. So I should have just done this, yeah, beforehand. Interesting deck. Force Pitching Cunning Wish. Okay, that's actually pretty nice because Cunning Wish is a pretty hard card to beat, especially for this deck. Thalia does help because Thalia stops them going show until in Omniscience, we have Night of Autumn, and then trigger on the stack, they go and fetch. But at least here we should be okay. The issue here is that the Teferi is just buying so much time for my opponent. Wow. Wait. Surely they shuffled that. Yeah, they shuffled and still didn't draw a card. Interesting. Swords. Not great in this matchup, but at least we get to kill a Teferi here. Attack Teferi, attack them. Nice. Play Hierarch and just pass. Let's see what happens. Do they draw a land? Oh, they drew an Astrolabe. Okay, that's fine. Especially for 2 mana. Kai is pretty nice. They're tapped out, so I can take care of the Astrolabe, which, if they are playing a third color, does take them off that card as well. So let's go white, green. We don't have a land to drop, so we might as well use Scrub here. Black, Kaya, Tick. Huh. I think I will take them off the Astrolabe just in case they are a 3 color or more deck. And then I might as well just attack with the Thalia because we get Exalted. If they had open mana, I would attack with both creatures because it's the same amount of damage, but in case they have a Swords to Plowshares, we still get at least, 1 damage in. Preordain. Okay. So here I really want to see bottom and just really make them slog to find that extra land. 2 cards on the bottom. Okay, they find a Prismatic Vista. Interesting. Forest. Again, just an attack for 3. And then just in case they have something like Snapcaster, I might as well go after their Preordain and Ponder. I'll play a Forest and pass. I think it's okay to play the lands out because Green Suns I do want to cast under this Thalia for probably Questing Beast just to close out this game a little bit more. But Ancient Tomb Show and Tell would be pretty problematic if they do have Cunning Wish as well, because Knight of Autumn and Thalia only do so much. There's even a consideration that I shouldn't have taken out the Astrolabe and should have just gone after ulting Kaya earlier, because it would have meant 2 extra cards would have been in exile, which means it would have been lethal this coming turn. Decay. Swords and Decay probably pretty meh in this matchup. I am going to attack with both here in case they have like a main deck Swords to Plowshares. I don't want to attack for 3 with Exalted and then get nothing through. I'd rather attack for 2 and 1. Thalia makes it cost 1 more. Oh, is that for their show and tells? I guess I was only really concerned about a Ancient Tomb or similar. So this is gonna be interesting because they could have like a nothing. Okay. It's tough because there's also a world where I should have played the Knight out as just a 4/3 and tried to put lethal on the board for the following turn, but thankfully we didn't see what they were on. I'm going to assume because of the Ancient Tomb that they were on some sort of show and tell list. So I do like the Thought Seizers. I do like cutting Decays. Teferi's a little bit annoying, but maybe they're on the maybe list. I think Plagues can definitely come out. I think that Swords can probably come out as well. Chalice seems fine. Yeah, they had the Cunning Wish one. Hey, Knight. Ah, it's Tang. Okay, I was wondering who it was on the Salt Mine account. I thought it was Steve for a second, so I thought it was gonna be Goblins or like Bug with Sinkhole. So I'm kind of happy it wasn't those. I think we can definitely cut the Engineers and the Swords. Interesting if they try to like, if they have some sort of like mentor build in the sideboard that they can move into, but Gaddock Teeg's also interesting. Teeg probably is going to do a whole lot more than Ramanap. We did see Astrolabe, which does do something at least for Collector Oof, but I'm not too sure. Hey Matt, from Germany, greetings. What would be my second favorite Legacy deck to play after Maverick? I've been playing a lot of Black-Green Turbo Depths, which is pretty fun. Green-White Depths is also really fun, but I would say is pretty close to Maverick. So if I was going to move away from sort of green in general, Blue-Red Delver's pretty cool. I like Blue-Red Delver. It's got a nice feel to it. It's pretty aggressive as well. And I also like Blue-White Stoneblade. So Blue-White Stoneblade, some players just think is a little bit boring, but I love it. I love how it just has that, it has a very clear plan, which is always nice, and has a little bit of everything. I think this is fine. Thoughtseize and Chalice. Not the greatest on the draw, but probably better than these cards. Pretty lackluster hand. 5 lands, Knight, and a Mum. The Canopy could be another spell, but I think I want to keep a hand. Seeing that we brought in Thoughtseize and Chalice, I probably want at least one of those in my opening. Or something like a Thalia. Interesting, though. If we lead on the Canopy, we can obviously cash it in a little bit earlier than expected. But the big issue that I have with this hand is that if I draw a land in the next 3 turns, I would be pretty upset. So I think I'm happy to mulligan this one. Be a little bit more aggressive. This is nice. It is just a 1-lander, but we have multiple ways to build out our mana. So I'm pretty happy to keep this and probably disrupt the Questing Beast. And kind of keep that for the Green Suns if I want it. Teeg is nice. Having Teeg in hand also gives me some information about what I should be doing with the Thoughtseize. But Matt Flacco, what do you play? What's your local scene in Germany like for Legacy? If you guys are still playing paper at the moment, I know that a lot of places around the world aren't. Play Goblins? Nice. Very cool. Goblins is a sweet deck. Are you playing the more traditional Aether Vial deck, or are you playing the kind of Turbo Muxus build with Chrome Mox and Ancient Tombs? Oh, that's great to hear. Very cool. Traditional Vial? Nice. Yeah, Goblins is sweet. Obviously, Eli's a big streamer as well, who's kind of pulling back from the streaming, but obviously goes to show that Goblins has a lot of play to it, which is awesome. I mean, when you're playing fair cards like Mog Fanatic, you definitely got to have a pretty good understanding of the format and things like that. Oh, very cool. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what the Ponder did. Ponder chose not to shuffle. I think because I don't have a great card to put in yet off the show and tell, I'm pretty happy to open up with Thoughtseize rather than building up my mana. If they untap and don't go off, then I obviously do get punished by not building up my mana, because if I don't draw a land, I'm still stuck on 1 land. This is an interesting one. I am gonna Thoughtseize. I do just want to make sure. Seeing the Ancient Tombs puts me back a little bit. Interesting. Force, Brainstorm, Show and Tell. So they have the Brainstorm. This is actually a really interesting one. If I had a better understanding, if they had like Show and Tell and Omniscience, maybe I would take something else. I think it is just one combo piece here, but I'm kind of looking at the Brainstorm as well and thinking that's pretty cool. Yeah, Brainstorm does feel pretty good to take here. Hey, Damo. But I kind of want to make sure they don't have... If I take Show and Tell, then Brainstorm has to find, or they have to find both pieces again. If I take Brainstorm and they draw into another cantrip, they're really just digging for one piece of the combo. And they usually play for Preordain, Ponder, and Brainstorm, so that's 12 cards. I guess 11 with the Brainstorm in hand there. I kind of like taking the... Because we have a slow hand, I'm going to take the Show and Tell here, because it puts them back to needing 2 pieces of the combo rather than just 1. So I think that's fair enough reasoning to take just the Show and Tell. But then just be aware. Yeah, they kept on top of the Ponder as well. Lurtzer, so nice pull there. Probably to see, yeah, Prismatic Vista. Okay. They need 3 pieces? Ouch. No brainstorm. Obviously taking their time as well. Okay, there it is. And there goes the hand. Haha, we are now 100% in the unknown. Yeah, definitely. We have a really good legacy scene in Brisbane. So I'm trying to put a face to your friend Martin. But very cool to hear that I played him. Heath is interesting. I wonder if they kept Force or not. I kind of like Library here because it allows me to dig for something to put in off the show and tell. So I think it's just going to be the Sylvan Library and then Birds. I mean, if that gets forced, I'm probably not too unhappy. I think you played 4-color Loam? Okay, cool. Interesting. With Mox Diamond's Confidence. Ooh, okay. This is kind of nice. No turn 3 show and tell is always a great sign. Chalice for 1 here is actually pretty nice. I can't play Teeg and then Chalice because it stops Chalice, but I think here I'm probably okay taking 4, including the fetch. It's really a case of what I want to achieve on this turn. So we have 5 mana. So we could Green Suns for 2. That doesn't really do anything with both targets in our hand. The Green Suns is kind of awkward because I kind of want to go for Knight to get Karakas online, but... They could also have open... the 3 mana search your library for 3 cards, your opponent chooses 1. Intuition? We're definitely playing the Verdant Catacombs. Yeah, I think it's just fetch here and go for a Knight, so we have access to Karakas. I'm gonna tap like this so that in case it doesn't resolve, I can still attack with the Noble Hierarch. This also gives us a shuffle off the Sylvan Library, which is nice. Containment Priest, that's pretty good. Containment Priest means they can't put in show and tell off a... can't put in a creature off the show and tell, which is interesting. Thalia is nice. Okay. Put on top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. Yeah, I don't mind going to 5. I'm gonna lead on Teeg, because that stops Force. I'm then gonna play the Thalia. And then play Mum. Swords. Interesting. They are going to attack, which is actually pretty interesting. And I think they've kind of figured out that it's kind of a free attack. I'm probably not too happy to trade with Gaddock Teeg here, so I'm happy just to pass this back. I think Wasteland would be really nice. Kaya, interesting. Don't have a great shuffle here, which is a little bit problematic, but I think that's going to be okay. Put on top, put on top. Black, white. Kaya. Exile swords and a brainstorm. Happy to attack for 3. They are going to attack. That's interesting. I'm pretty happy to block you with Mum and just see if they have removal. Pro white. Yeah. Alright. We get to see 1 extra card here. I can at least swing for 4, thanks to the Exalted. Thalia is pretty nice. Maybe Thalia's a little bit better. Brainstorm. Attack for 3. Hey, thanks, Matt. All the best to you as well. Hope you have a nice week ahead. Let me know what sleeves you get. I'm a massive fan of Dragon Shields. I guess I should have played the Collective as well. There's no point not to. Katana are number 1. Actually, Damo, are you a Katana fan? I haven't tried them out. I've heard good things. I've also heard some people say they break a little bit, but you know, maybe that's just some people using them a little bit tougher than others. No attack. Okay. There's Green Suns. Green Sun's pretty bad here because it gets stopped by both Gaddock Teeg and Containment Priest. So put on top. Put on top. Exile these 2. I could still use the shuffle off Green Suns. The issue is that I can't actually cast it because of Gaddock Teeg. Yeah, I found that with KMCs a little bit. Just picking up dust was a little bit too rough. They kept back the Containment Priest, so I think I'm just going to try to attack in with the bird. And not use the Mum. Not sure what my opponent has. Again, probably correct just to play the Collective out and get some more combat damage going, because I want to get this Kaya to pretty much ulti. They currently have 6 cards in exile. Put on top. Put on top. Hey, nice, Graham. That's great to hear. Welcome to the game. Hope you're enjoying it. MTG Arena is a great way to get into it. And Australia has a really nice legacy scene, which is sweet. This is an interesting one. Legacy people are the best. No, I could just give pro here. Yeah, I'm going to see how this goes. So if I attack with both Gaddock Teeg... I should have definitely played the Collector Oof. Hey Graham, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. In Australia. Obviously a pretty interesting time to be picking up Magic because of the current climate. I do have lethal if I use the Kai's ultimate and then attack with a creature with pro, but I'm not sure if I want to get pro. I'm probably okay with it. I'm actually just going to attack with Thalia, and if they block, they block. I'm going to get pro. I'm going to get pro. Alright, they're at 5. Kaya, you. Yeah. Not the greatest win there. Obviously could have played the Collector Oof a lot earlier and would have been happy to attack it into the Containment Priest. I'm going to assume they got to a stage where they had Show and Tell but also had just creatures to put in like Emrakul. And obviously couldn't with their own Containment Priest out. A little bit sloppy. I definitely think that Show and Tell is not a great matchup, so pretty nice to start off with the win. But yeah, sadly I'm not in a position where I'm happy to play something like Oblivion Ring that's pretty targeted towards Show and Tell. If I see it a lot tonight, then I think that will definitely change, but we'll see. I feel like it's a matchup that you just don't want to put time into or resources into because it's just that bad. Just happens. Just happens. Not every matchup can be great, unfortunately. But yeah, nice to get there. You White Omni should be better than Blue Green. Yeah, Blue Green's really awkward. Blue Green, you know, Gaddock Teeg doesn't do much. There's no sneak attack to turn off with Gaddock Teeg. It's obviously not as fast as Blue Red, but you know, even like Ice Fang's pretty annoying if they're playing that, or something like Sylvan Library in the main deck, which I guess does turn on Swords to Plowshares and Abrupt Decay. That's an interesting thought, that maybe Blue-Green's a little bit better for Maverick because you just have so many more Game 1 cards that are online. Up against Contrap. Okay. I don't think I've ever played against Contrap. Awkward hand. The Cradle, of course, isn't really any mana right now. And then the mana of just Wasteland and Forest is going to be a mulligan here. Opponent mulls to 6. We're going to mulligan to 6. They mulligan to 5. I mean, I can cast everything I draw into, which is kind of nice. Hey Gizlo, welcome. Pretty good, thank you. Doing okay. Won our first match, which is nice. Yeah, if the Wasteland's online, it should be nice. I do like this hand because I can cast everything I draw into, and I can also cast my spells through a Blood Moon. So I think I am just going to keep this and bottom the Bayou. If this is a combo deck, we also have the opportunity to Green Suns for 2. Oh, they mulligan to 4? Okay. If it's something like an Echo deck, then the mulligan decision isn't that bad because they could just keep LED Echo. Okay, they mulligan to 3. Please don't be Doomsday. If they go like Dark Ritual Doomsday, I'd be very... Oh, they went to Hogaak. Okay. There's a bridge. Rough. Are you from the Darling Downs? Very cool. Another Queenslander. I am currently based in Brisbane. I'm actually going to go for Wasteland here. Especially seeing they're down on cards. Hogaak can trip up on mana as well, so this might pay off. I use might lightly. Please don't be careful, study. Okay, Gravecrawler. That's not too bad. Okay. Ooh, Skoos is really nice. Skoos is actually going to make me play this out. I'm going to play Bayou. I'm going to play the Screws and then just hold up Bayou. See what they do. They're going to attack with both. This is interesting because if I block the Stitcher Supplier, it might actually be better for them because Stitcher Supplier also puts 3 cards in their bin when it dies. And that might be something that I just don't want to do now. And I want to actually allow this attack to come through, use my life total as a resource, and just say, hey, this is fine. I think taking damage here is a lot worse than Bloodgust. Okay. So here we get to eat the bridge, which is nice. Untap. Karakas doesn't do a whole lot. I don't mind the Wasteland plan. I also don't mind just playing Windswept Heath because it can get Dryad Arbor, which means it's a blocker that also puts creatures in the bin to make the Screws even bigger. Hey Ravenous Panda. I'm looking to play 2 at the moment with Maverick because it's a 7 AM on Saturday, 5 PM that same Saturday, and then 5 PM the Sunday. So I think I might just do the 2 being 7 AM Sunday, 5 PM on... 7 AM Saturday, 5 PM on Monday, and see how that goes. Yeah, so here we get to do some pretty cool things. Get Dryad Arbor. Move to blocks. Probably block the Bloodgast. And then in damage, I'm going to eat the Bloodgast. Just in case they have another land to play. Another Gravecrawler. Okay. That's fine. Scrib Ranger. Okay, that's nice. Scrib's pretty sweet because now we get to attack with the Scavenging Ooze and then also have it as a blocker. I'm going to take out their Underground Sea. I am going to attack here. Hey Renew, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. I'm going to keep this Scrib Ranger up because it's going to come down as a kind of combat trick, which is nice. And they're just going to concede, okay. Pretty lucky there. Obviously my opponent going down to 4 cards is pretty rough. We also have a pretty nice sideboard of cards like Leylines, which we can just take out Thalias for. Collector Oof is okay because it does turn off you know what I'm talking about. Altar. Knights are fine. Knight of Autumn is fine. Ramanap is okay, but Ramanap's maybe just a little bit too much. I do like Chalice against Hogaak. I think it's probably better on the play than on the draw because I want to make sure all my removal is online. I think Plagues and Kai's are fine as well. Sylvan Library's pretty good, but I can probably go down to 1. Are you from Austria and play mostly Maverick and lands? Very cool, very cool. Yeah, Focal Loam and Natural Order Bant are very, very fun. I find Natural Order Bant to be a pretty fun deck as well. Ah, very cool to hit Panda. That's sick. I'm intrigued on what the spicy deck is. I'm going to drop the Cradle. This isn't really a deck where I guess Cradle's kind of nice because of Ooze. But we do have the Ley Lines. Maybe this is overboarding. Maybe the Mums? Mums are interesting. Ask Reaper cheap? Okay. Okay. It is just 1 card here that I can drop. It might actually be the Scrib Ranger. I think if I'm ever going to Green Suns for 2, it's going to be for Scavenging Ooze, and if it's not for 2, it's probably for Knight at 4, so I think this is fine. See how this goes. What's the matchup? The matchup is a BUG Hogaak. So I will be tempted to bring in the Chalice. Yeah, on the I think on the play. I think on the draw where I'm behind, I want to have those, you know, swords and the paths online ASAP. This is a mulligan. It's kind of awkward to have the Dried Arbor and the Green Sun Zenith in hand, meaning I can't fetch it on turn 1 to explode my mana out. So I'm just going to mulligan this. We also have Leyline to get to. Interesting hand, but probably not where I want to be. It's not the worst hand. I have to drop 1. Yeah, maybe Chalice is just that good. Yeah. Maybe I should be giving it more time. Yeah, Overlord also agreeing. I think, yeah, maybe I should just give Chalice more respect in this matchup. I'm going to keep this. It's not a Leyline hand, but I think it's okay. And I think it's just the second Green Suns that I... This is an interesting one. It could also be the Oof that I go for and just keep it as a Green Suns target. Because maybe what I want to do is use 1 Green Suns to build out my mana and the second to find a bullet like Oof or Skoos. Oof does shut down Altar, but we do also have a few ways to deal with Altar as Green Sun targets. I think because Green Suns represent Collector Oof, but Collector Oof is only Collector Oof, then I'm pretty happy to send it away. Careful study. Okay. Bridge and Vengevine is pretty nice in the bin. Especially if they play Cabal Therapy. Decay's good. I think this means I just want to build up my mana here, because then next turn I can hold up Swords and Abrupt Decay. If I go and get a Bayou... I should have gone for Savannah. I was just thinking about Noble Hierarch for a second, but of course we can only get Dried Arbor here. It's okay. It's fine. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. But yeah, Savannah is definitely correct there. I just had a little bit of tunnel vision about the Abrupt Decay and having access to black mana, but of course having Swords and Path online is pretty good. A little bit of a punt. Bayou, Bloodghast. Okay, so they get back to Bloodghast here. Yeah, maybe Decay is not as good as I think it is in this matchup. There's a trophy. That's interesting. So we know they're bringing trophy for Leyline. Let's put this graveyard up here. That's a big punishment for not getting the Savannah. Yeah, I think I definitely want to get rid of the Hedron Crab here. But it's just so bad if I have to wasteland my own Dried Arbor, which I'm really relying on here as a mana source. I don't mind just one more turn and going for Noble Hierarch. Just to get that white mana online. And then in case they do put more bridges in the bin, then we do have Wasteland on Dried Arbor as a last resort. But yeah, fetching for not a Savannah there was pretty huge, because you know, Swordsing the Crab is perfect. It deals with it 1 mana for 1 mana, they gain 0 life. Another Stitcher. Okay. Now they can cast a Gravecrawler from play to get back the Hogaak. There's Hogaak. That's pretty big. Hey Julian, welcome. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're pretty excited for Eternal Weekend. Could we get a 10k challenge points redemption to support the rehabilitation of victims of drop bear attacks? I think that's a great cause. Drop bears are a pretty big issue here in Australia, especially around the fires. A lot of these drop bears were coming out of their habitats into suburbia. They've been attacking tourists for years now, so I think it would be a pretty good idea to, put together some money to actually give back to those victims of drop bears. Yeah, I 100% support that. Two weeks in hospital, drop bear attack. You're one of the lucky ones, Ravenous Panda. Those things are pretty ravenous. Okay. So now we're looking a little bit better. We have an answer for the Vengevine and the Gack, which is kind of nice. So I'm probably okay just passing here with both Swords and Path up, instead of playing out the Knight, but we also have the issue of this deck just going wide. So next turn they can swing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, taking us to 7. And then a Gravecrawl in the bin. Yeah. Alright, so we'll definitely get Savannah. I'm going to Path the Hogaak, which does trigger the Hedron Crab, which is a little bit annoying. Just a little downside as well. I wasn't up for the Toowoomba event, unfortunately. I was at the coast, but I heard it was a pretty good success, which is always nice to hear. Oh, a second Vengevine, rough. And then we will Swords the Vengevine here. I can decay, but there's no great targets here. I guess I should just go for the Bloodghast just to save some life. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, maybe hitting the crab's just correct. Just to stop them from actually building out their board. Which I should have done first if I was going to do this, because now they get 2 extra cards from the swamp, and the bridge is going to trigger. Yikes. So actually, if I'm looking to stop, yeah, I didn't want to waste the Arbor because I do want to try to draw into even Scavenging Ooze here. I think it's probably better than the Knight. If I'm playing like this, I'm definitely not winning Eternal Weekend, but I think that Maverick will do pretty well. I think there's a lot of great pilots out there that will hopefully put up some pretty good results. For me, I'm going to be playing the 1st and the 3rd. So the 1st is on at 7 AM in Australia on Saturday, and the 2nd is at 5 PM on Sunday, which is kind of nice. I like those timings. Yikes. I think we're technically dead. We'll play it out. It came second? Very cool. Nice. Yeah, Aaron's deck is very quick. It's very deceptively quick. You don't really realize it until it kind of happens. Is Skyclave Apparition too greedy on the mana pips for Maverick in general? I saw Matt Soul playing a really cool version of green-white Maverick that played Skyclave Apparition. I think 3 in the main deck, which is pretty cool to see. Chalice on the play. I'm gonna drop the decays. I think this is still pretty good. Yeah. Yes. What's it called? Slushy, because it brain freezes your opponent. I'd love to play first. Oh, double Leyline and a turn 1 play. I'm gonna keep this. I just hope they don't have. I could keep a Leyline in case they have Force of Vigor to deal with both of them at the same time, but I think because it's going to take a while for us to actually cast the second one, I'm probably okay to play around Assassin's Trophy a little bit more than the Force. Gonna go for Bayou here, because then we can cast the Plague Engineer next turn if we draw a land. Yeah, Apparition is a sweet card. I'm kind of hoping it gets more than just play in Death and Taxes, because I think it does have play in other decks. Even in something like Blue-White Stoneblade, it seems okay. Council's Judgment is pretty good, because you can also flash it back with Snapcaster, but I think it's got... There's definitely a build with it, which is cool. It could be really good in Espovile, especially with all the ETB triggers and things like Soul Herder. Let's see what they name. Probably name Green Suns. I think Green Suns is probably the most... Yeah, it's tough. Another Reliquary. Okay. They finally have outs to Jit Mirrors. Yeah, it's kind of awkward sometimes when you have to... Ooh. Now this is interesting if I want to attack or I want to hold up a Swords or Path. And I think I just want to hold up a Swords or Path. Altar, okay. Oh. Is there a list for the Slush Puppy deck? I assume if you get onto either Jacob or Jono... I'll find out. I'll find out and I'll send you a message for sure. I'm just going to name Zombie, because if I can name Zombie twice with these Plague Engineers, then Altar doesn't do a whole lot if they get rid of these ley lines. Also pretty close to just hardcasting this next ley line, which is nice. This feels like a... Okay, Bloodghast. Interesting. Wasteland. Wasteland's interesting because it means I can play the Plague Engineer and also hold up Path or Swords. Yeah, pretty lucky to also draw 2 of our black sources to actually hardcast this Leyline if we want to. But I think here we're just going to play the second Plague and see if they respond by sacking the Bloodghast or not. That's interesting. I think because I have the option of swordsing this in response to them destroying delay lines to turn the altar back on, I'm okay with just naming Zombie again. But it's... interesting. Ooh, end step thinking. I decided to spend the day turning 2 power shitters sideways. Here I'm happy just to swords this. They could get Dried Arbor. They're not going to get Dried Arbor. Okay. What do they actually exile to this? Vengevine. Okay. I mean, if we get to untap and just hardcast this Leyline again, I'd be pretty happy. Yeah, the fact that the Force had 2 targets is pretty huge because it means that they don't have the they don't have to 2-for-1 themselves, which is nice. They can 2-for-2 themselves. Hey, you QCM. Yes, this is currently round 2. Attack with both. Can only 6 here. Oh, trophy. Alright. Game on. I guess trophy's still rough because they kind of want to have the, they also need to have the plagues going. Huh. Okay. Huge and Crab Vengevine. I don't think I want to path here. I just want to hold the path for now. Oh. Come on now. Come on now. Sometimes it just works out. I was even thinking, if I draw Green Suns, then I kind of have to go for Collector Oof here, but luckily just lined up really well. Opponent didn't even sack the Bloodghast in response to the altar, which is interesting. I think the hardcast Vengevines are probably fine because we're at 19 and we also have the Path, which is pretty nice. But yeah, interesting there. The Oof is just so good, especially because the Bloodcast can get out of hand really fast with the altar and something like a fetch land. Why not waste Bayou to play around another 80? I definitely could have. I think I was pretty keen just to try to play the Knight and then just get to a position where I could swing for lethal the following turn. But yeah, I could definitely see taking them off the black mana for another trophy, because they usually bring in at least 2 and we only saw 1. Yeah, Kambal against Aaron seems really good. I'm not too sure if he can beat that without dealing with it straight away. Kambal seems really solid. So blue-white show and tell, I'm gonna call it, and then BUG Hogaak. Yeah, I'm not too sure how I like Abrupt Decay in the Hogaak matchup. Maybe it's just not that great because a lot of the creatures you don't really want to trade for because they're either putting cards in the bin that they kind of want. The only great target is a altar. So you probably just want something that stops altar instead of actually just allowing them to have it and then destroy it. You White Miracles. You like Haunting Echoes? Interesting. I'm not sure if this is a meme card or some sort of actual tech. Haunting Echoes. 3 black sorcery. Okay. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard other than basic land cards. For each card exiled this way, search that player's library for all cards with the same name as that card and exile them. Then that player shuffles their library. That's pretty funny. Up against Walked. We're on the play, which is nice. Julian, what do you think about this hand? This is an interesting one because if we play the Noble turn 1 and they actually remove it and we don't draw a land, it's pretty rough. But if we do, it's okay. We get to go turn 2 Thalia or turn 2 Knight if we draw a land. We'll totally keep this. Yeah, I guess the basic always puts me off, but I think the reward is just there that I'm happy to keep this and hope it goes okay. How has it felt adding Mum back in? Unfortunately, this is the first time we saw her against we actually played her in game 3 against Show and Tell, and it felt kind of nice to have an answer to like a bounce spell end of turn. So that's pretty good, but I don't want to play against a Plague Engineer deck, so I'm Not too sure if I'm considering or not. Having 10 X1 humans in the deck definitely hurts. Delta. Fetch. Oh, okay, they could just be going off. Okay. Entomb. Oh, is this gonna be Reanimator? Shallow Grave. Ah, Tin Fins. Okay. Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I think this one's just going to be the Thoughtseizers and the Chalices. I could also just make sure that they don't look at our hand and maybe say that we're Infect. But I'm not sure if Infect even plays... I guess they play Basic Forest. Is Chalice on 1 or 0? I think it depends on the hand. If I have a hand with both Thoughtseize and Chalice, I'll Thoughtseize first, then Chalice for 1. But it also depends on what they have in hand. Another Entomb. Probably for a child, yeah. Alright. Pretty cool deck. So this is a, it's not like traditional Reanimator, it's called Tin Fins. And usually it uses Shallow Grave, which allows you to return a creature with haste. Usually Grizzlebrand, attack for a bunch, pay a bunch of life, draw cards, and then sack this to gain that life back, then draw more cards. Usually finishing up with a Tendrils finish, which is kind of cool. Very cool deck, very cool to see. I put her down to 6, with 39 cards in hand on turn 1. Yeah, I think if I have a hand that does... I guess it really depends on the hand, but I think for 0 or 1 could definitely be considered. Yeah, that's very true. I think that if an elf player kept this hand, they'd probably lead in a Glistener Elf and have a turn 2 win. Emrakul, nice. Do they have the Shallow Grave? I guess it doesn't matter because they're in their second main phase. Yeah, I'm just going to see if there's anything different. It looks like a pretty stock list. But sadly, just a little bit too slow. Interesting what I bought out. I think I can definitely take out the Decays, the Plague Engineers. Gaddock Teeg's actually still relevant because of Tendrils. Yeah, I'm pretty happy to concede there. I think we've seen enough. But yeah, sometimes they do board into Doomsday. So I think I like taking out these. Mum's interesting, but probably on the maybe pile. I think Abrupt Decays can most likely come out. I'm definitely bringing in Thoughtseize. I'm definitely bringing in the Chalices. I don't think I'll bring in the Leylines, but I do like Teeg. I don't like Ramanap. Leylines are interesting because it does turn off the Tin Fins line, but dead otherwise. I do like Beast because it allows us to quickly close the game out. Same with Knight. Knight of Reliquary. Knight of Autumn's probably also pretty good because they're maybe thinking we're on a Thalia deck, which might make them play out their LEDs and Lotus Petals early on, which means we have targets for Knight. The swords are interesting as well. It kind of has to be leyline or removal here. Maybe it is a leylines, just in case. Just in case they stick on this list. And then it might be just like 1 decay, 1 sword. Not too sure what these two should be, but I do like the combo hate. I guess we'll see how this goes, and if there is a third game, we can come back to the sideboard and talk a bit more about it. This is a great hand in the blind, but otherwise it's just a little bit too slow and fair. Doesn't have any interaction, so I'm going to mulligan this. It says Chalice for 0, which is interesting. And it also has a pretty fast clock, which I don't mind. But it's really relying on this Chalice. I probably drop the second Noble. And then try to go turn 1 Chalice for 0, Noble Hierarch, turn 2 Knight, turn 3 Questing Beast. I think I keep this and I just bottom the second Noble. I think because it has a little bit of disruption, but also a plan, I'm pretty happy to see it. And I'm probably going to get a Bayou first up because I want to be able to cast Thoughtseizes if I draw into it. Eat the rich. Down with King. Yeah, let's go Bayou, Noble, Chalice. Chalice nice because it does have play to both sides. I probably would like Deafening Silence over Thoughtseize in this matchup. See what the Ponder does. Chose to shuffle. Okay, so they're looking for something. And I'm pretty happy to try to clock them here. I'm probably okay using the Verdant rather than showing Wasteland. But I guess because we're playing Knight anyway, it doesn't really matter because they can probably predict that we're going for Wasteland either way. But this means that actually we get to attack for maybe an extra damage next turn. If we draw into a fetch land, we can play the Knight this turn. And then attack next turn with the Questing Beast and the Knight. I'm gonna force that. Okay. That's fine. At least we have a good clock with Questing Beast. Brainstorm, okay. Probably means you drew a fetch land. I mean, if you're brainstorming otherwise, a little bit of yikes. Julian, what about yourself? Are you looking to play the Eternal Weekend? And if you are, which ones are you looking to play? And what deck are you also looking to think about? Verdant. Okay. I guess it's just bash and pray. Puts them to 13, they fetch, they go to 12, and then we have a 2-turn clock because of the second Noble Hierarch. You might only play the Maze one? Okay. Birds. Alright. They're at 7. Can't do anything here, unfortunately. This is where Maverick does have its downside against combo. Sometimes you're just out in the open. Limdal's Vault. Alright. Limdal's Vault is a very cool card, a pretty old card. And it's got a lot of text, so look at the top 5 cards of your library As many times as you choose, you may pay 1 life, put those cards at the bottom of your library, and then pick up the next 5. Yeah, I think I like wasting the fetch land here because it takes them off a mana or it makes them actually fetch. The wasteland otherwise probably isn't doing a whole lot, let's be honest. Unfortunately, they just let that resolve, so the card on top is probably pretty good here. Unfortunately, it feels like a bounce of the Chalice is just enough for them, but you never know. They have 5 cards in hand. Always a little bit scary. Hey Echo, welcome. Good to see you. Hey Sedai, what do you play in Legacy, if you play Legacy? And are you looking to play the Eternal Weekend? Nice to get the win. I feel like that was a pretty clutch one. I don't think I really want anything here. I'm just gonna submit the same 60. Doesn't feel that great on the draw, but... yeah, sadly I'm just gonna mulligan this. It doesn't do a whole lot. This doesn't do a whole lot either. This has the Chalice. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to bottom Wasteland, because we have the Knight to find Wasteland, so... There's probably some thought to keeping 1 Wasteland, because if they do something like Ponder off an Underground Sea... Oh, they just have Doomsday? That's interesting. Okay, so the Chalice stops Lotus Petal and LED. Is there a way to stop them from getting double blue before they get to cast the Thassa's Oracle? Yeah, Chalice on 0 will slow them down, but is it enough? I think Chalice on 0 is good here, because it is our only real play. It's going to be interesting to see what they have, though. Maybe we get to go Chalice on 0, Collector Oof, and then... Thoughtseize would be nice. Please. One-time dealer. One time. Verdant. Yeah, they could have Force. They could also just literally have blue cards. I guess they could have Unearth as well. That'd be pretty good. Episode 25. Welcome. Good to see ya. As always. I am just going to fetch out Dried Arbor here. I don't really want to draw Dried Arbor, so... Let's see what we draw. A little bit rough. Sadly, Doomsday is just a deck that I don't have too much for. Especially once they Doomsday. We don't have anything like Hushbringer. Wasteland. Yeah, Land Oracle seems like the play. Yeah. A little bit too easy, unfortunately. Just a matchup that I think I have to just try to avoid as much as I can. But yeah, props to my opponent. Obviously a pretty cool deck. And definitely a hard one to manage. I think a lot of new players will be playing Eternal Weekend, and I think a lot of them will play against something like Tin Fins and not expect Doomsday out of the board. Season of Mists. Okay. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. I'm gonna keep this. Mox Diamond, okay. Caracas, okay. Mox Diamond, okay. We can get Collector Oof with Green Sun Zenith, which is nice. Is this like turn 1 Thought Knot? Okay. I guess you take Green Suns because you don't really care about the other cards. Could also just draw Source to Plowshares, which is... They took Mum? Maybe they're on green. Maybe they're on like... Ooh. That's interesting. I think I'd rather progress my mana here though. I don't mind just going for Dried Arbor here. Wasteland is pretty good though. %70% over 300 matches? Nuts. Wasteland's interesting because it turns off a lot of their good draws. We take 4, go to 16. We go Green Sun's Dried Arbor. We go to 12. We play Thalia. Yeah, I'm okay with just the... am I? No, I think it's better to build up my board. I think Green Sun's here for Dried Arbor is better than Wasteland because it also turns Knight of the Reliquary into a pretty great draw as well. Yeah, I don't think I can waste either with the 4/4. So what are we going to get? We're going to get Bayou. And then more Green Suns. Yeah, they only have one card in hand, which is really interesting. If they have like land Reality Smasher, I'd be very upset. Wasteland. Wasteland's pretty good. Yeah. Windswept. Interesting. Just gonna go for Thalia here. Yeah, I've seen a green-white Taxes deck that does play this. And I'm assuming they took the Mother of Runes because it does deal with... Oh, it feels like Smasher. Yeah. I think our only out is drawing into Source to Plowshares. But then we lose the Thalia. Yeah. Colorless Eldrazi Storm. Well, at least we know what we're taking out. Thalia is definitely coming out. I do like these. I don't mind a Felidar Retreat. Beast is fine, Engineer's fine, Ramanap is great. Kai is interesting, but probably not good enough. I'm not sure if they play Loam. I think I'll consider dropping at least one. It does get rid of Mox Timer, which is kind of nice. Scavenging Ooze is also a bit meh. But it can get bigger in the late game, so this is probably okay. Thoughtseize on the play is interesting as well, but a little bit of a dead card. These Eldrazi decks usually just build out their board and just have no cards left. I might even try the second retreat, just to make sure I can try to see it. I think this is fine for a 60. Mum, of course. They do play white, so they do play things like Palace Jailer, which is nice, and usually Swords to Plowshares. I'm going to assume they bring out Chalice and bring in Swords to Plowshares, so... I think Mum here is better than the Thoughtseizers, so... Interesting, though. Yeah, usually not optimal, but we'll see how it goes. Interesting hand, but not the greatest. Turn 1 Dried Arbor, turn 2 Abrupt Decay, turn 3 Questing Beast. Doesn't seem great. We also don't have an answer for Thornot Seer. I think I have a similar list. Green, white, Eldrazi, somewhere here. Yeah, this is it. Oh, this is pretty close to it. So this is what it looks like. I don't think it plays Aven Mind Sensor anymore, and Big Thalia might not be in the deck. They probably took out the Thalias and brought in Containment Priest and Swords. Yeah, it's interesting why they play the Mox Diamonds over the Chrome Moxes, but maybe... I'm not too sure why. I'm gonna mulligan once. I think there's a better 6. And this is it. We get a turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Knight, so pretty happy with that. I'm gonna bottom the Ooze. Gonna fetch for a Savannah and play the Noble Hierarch. Once, okay. Temple. This feels like a Chalice. Oh, Ballista. Okay, Ballista's actually pretty strong here. I think here, because we know they have the Soul Land, I'm probably happy just green sunning for a Dried Arbor and holding up Swords to Plowshares. But because I want to Bayou, I'm probably just going to fetch here and now get the Bayou and use that. This also means next turn we can cast the Knight even if we don't draw into a land. Hey Derek, thanks for the follow. And French, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you guys are from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? They're down to 5 cards, and they have an Eldrazi Temple in play. Or in their hand, sorry. Chalice and 1. It's pretty good. This place is pretty nice. So I have the option of Night or Green Suns for Night of Autumn. I think I like Night here, and the next turn we can just do that. Might as well hold up the Dried Arbor. Hey Dark Cloud, this is currently game 2. They won game 1. Looks like a green-white Eldrazi list, but I'm not too sure on the amount of green splash they actually have. Chalice doesn't mean my knight is safe, because if they have either... Smash is pretty good. If they have something like Containment Priest, they can flicker things with their Eldrazi Displacer, and of course they don't come back, which is pretty rough. Yeah. No attacks is interesting. I don't understand that part. Another green sun. Okay. I think I still like the plan of probably getting rid of the Displacer. I actually think that the Displacer is so much more scary than the Reality Smasher. Gonna go for Knight of Autumn. Take out the Chalice. And then I'm pretty happy to just Swords the Displacer here and now. Off a Scrubland, which we can fetch for. I didn't want to hit the Mox because I'm not too afraid of the Moxen by itself. And the Chalice is just really annoying when we already have a Swords to Plowshares in hand. Another Displacer is pretty nice. Ooh, Oof's okay. Huh. There's a world where I just want to get Ramanap. Means I can Wasteland twice. Float a green. Sack this. Go and get Wasteland. Waste Ancient Tomb. If they want to bounce something, that's fine. Okay, now we'll float here. And now we'll go for... I could go for another Knight, but I think going for Ramanap is better, because then we can get back Wasteland this turn and Wasteland them off their second source. Yeah, I definitely like Ramanap. Get back Wasteland. Hit this. Pretty happy to take the 8 here. No blocks. Now we also have Collector Oof to turn off the Moxen, which is pretty good. Once is going to be okay. Because now we get to kind of lock them out of mana. They find a Palace Jail, that's going to be way too slow. So we get back Wasteland. Hit the Caracas. They're at 15. 8, 10... Oh, I think we can win this turn. With Scrib Ranger, we currently have 13. We could, but I think it's better just to play the Oof and pass. I should have actually used this mana and then used the Green Suns and a Cradle to go and get another Knight, but they're going to concede because they can see what they're writing on the wall, but... Interesting game. A lot of different plays we could have done there. On the draw is a little bit rough, but I think I'm happy just running this back. There's no real changes that I want to make. Woke up finding a carpet python trying to choke him out. Yeah, unfortunately those stories are definitely not something that they happen a few times. This is sadly a mulligan. Our only green source is the Dried Arbor. Our only land is the Dried Arbor. Hey Mighty Penguin, very cool to see you. Hope you're having a good time. I believe I saw you in the 90s MTG chat. Or someone else's chat. Maybe even Ant Player. How am I forgetting his name? Cyrus. Maybe Cyrus's stream. We'll definitely mulligan this. Better, but not the greatest. I'll keep it. The Sylvan Library's really nice. Keep in bottom the Dried Arbor. A Chalice here would be pretty brutal. Is Achilles in chat? Oh, in Achilles chat. There we go. Please don't have Soul Land Thought Knot. Please no Soul Land Thought Knot. Oh, rough. Like the one thing I didn't want to see. Just turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Thought Knot is so good against his hand. I am gonna fetch here. Get a Savannah, get a Bayou. Don't want to be drawing lands. Oh, perfect. Oh my gosh. Even as a 5/5, really nice. Just to stem the bleeding for a little bit, please. Oblivion Ring? Rough. Yes, the bling can be shipped worldwide, which is really nice. Ooh, there we go. Now this is an interesting one. I think I get rid of the Oblivion Ring. Oh my god. They have 1 card left. So the knight taking care of the Oblivion Ring gets back the Knight of the Reliquary. But the Knight of Autumn turns off the Chalice and allows us to deal with this Thought Knots here. This is actually an interesting one. I think the target is still Chalice, because Chalice turns on our hand, and we also have multiple things to draw into, like Knight of the Reliquary in the deck. So I think getting rid of Chalice makes more sense because it turns everything in our hand online. Yeah, I think unlocking the hand is good as well. I do want to hold up a Swords of Path here because I don't want them playing another Chalice. I am gonna Swords it over Pathing. There's some consideration not to, but okay. They have 1 card left. Nice. I'm gonna play this and draw to draw Knight of Autumn. Abrupt Decay. Okay, that's even better. Haha, because Abrupt Decay also deals with the Oblivion Ring. Okay. Now we're looking good. This is Maverick. This is Maverick. Welcome. Hope you're well. Outside of like a massive walking blister, I'm pretty happy. Hello Maverick, it's Julian. When's the last time you streamed Maverick, Julian? Oh, Skyring Apparition. Skyclave Apparition, sorry. That's probably okay, actually. That's gonna resolve. Take the mum. Yeah, that's okay. Hey, Code. A huge thank you for the tier 1 sub. That's really nice. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? You streamed Achilles List? Okay, interesting. Yeah, sadly Maverick does have some downside at times. I probably want to go after these, just in case they play something like... what am I thinking of? I am thinking of... That card, we know it. Ulamog, if they play Ulamog, perhaps? I think it's okay just to take them off a... maybe the reason I didn't want to do this now is that if they draw into Reality Smasher, I don't have a card to pitch to the Path to Exile. So I think maybe not using Wasteland here is the correct choice. I'm also going to take them off the... Brushland, because I probably care about double white for Palace Jailer, which is pretty rough. I do have Dried Arbor in the deck. If I get Dried Arbor and they have 2 blockers, yeah, I think taking them off the second white is probably better. But yeah, if they draw Smasher here, I'll be so unhappy with myself. Oblivion Ring, okay. Interesting. I do have targets for... I do have more Abrupt Decays in the deck, so I think I'm happy for this to resolve. They're going to attack. That's interesting. I'm happy to block here and get back this 1/1. Yeah, Dead of Winter's a pretty busted card. Kaya doesn't get rid of a... Oh, it gets rid of that. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Get rid of your Mox Diamond. Attack. Alright. We got this. We got this. Dallas and Death and Taxes? Very cool. Okay. I think here we just get Dried Arbor to increase this clock a bit. Alright, come on. Questing Beast. Green Suns. Pretty much. Pretty much. Do I want Questing Beast? Yeah, I think Beast here is better than Knight. Just to really start laying in some damage. It does give them the access to Caracas as an out, which is interesting. How big is a Knight? Let's have a quick look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's an 8/8. So I guess the Knight attacking next turn anyway would be attacking for the 4 this turn as well as next turn. So maybe Knight here is just better. Yeah. Gonna exile these 2, gain some life, attack for 1. How do you pronounce Doogs? Haha, Doogs. Kind of like, so my real name is Dougal, which rhymes with Google. So I guess if you take Google and just like Googs and then Doogs. A lot of people think it's like Duges or Duges, which is pretty funny. It's always actually really funny to hear different streamers pronounce it. I like it's Julian's play there. Okay. 3 and 1. Not too bad. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back in a second. Hope you guys are well. Hey Snapcaster, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy, I'll be back in 1 second. Nice. Snapcaster, you just got back into Legacy for the first time in 2020 last month, and not sure what I'm playing for EW yet. Leaning towards Grixis Delver or Bant Miracles. Very cool. Grixis Delver I haven't seen too much of. I think Rug is just so good that people haven't been playing Grixis, because if you're going to splash a color, why not green right now? Which is pretty tough, but... I know that Arnzi's been playing a lot of Miracles recently, and I think doing okay with it, which is cool. Is this by chance a double up stream? Sadly not. I'm going to try to get a few good night's sleeps before this Eternal Weekend on the weekend. Unicorn Paradise sounds interesting. Pretty rough hand to have both the Dried Up and the Forest, so I am going to mulligan this. We can't really do anything. This is a lot better. But it's interesting what I drop. I think it's between the Scrib Ranger and the Scavenging Ooze. I think it might just be the Scrib Ranger, because the Scavenging Ooze at least gives me some sort of out for combo. Definitely keeping. I think it's Scrib. Yeah. Is it? This is actually a really interesting one. I think it is Scrib. Yeah, it's gonna be Scrib. Well, this is actually a hard one, because in the blind, Scrib Ranger does a whole lot more for this hand than Scavenging Ooze does, because it untaps Noble Hierarch, it untaps Knight, it saves our lands from Wasteland. Screws could be irrelevant, so I'm actually gonna bottom the Screws, and at least if we need it, it's a Green Sun's target, which is really nice. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? I feel like I should have kept the Screws against this sort of deck. Probably just taking the turn 1 play, but it'll be interesting if like the Abrupt Decay is interesting to them. Yeah, that Balenciaga Boba. I can never say his name correctly or their name correctly, but is a very good pilot and has been playing a lot of different decks. Savannah, okay. Inquisition off Snow-Covered Swamp is an interesting one, and probably some sort of mono black combo deck. N-Bobber, okay. Oh, Duress. Okay, that's gonna take the Abrupt Decay. Is this just gonna be like a stage? Oh, this is gonna be okay. Interesting. This is gonna be our Turbo Depths, just with a kind of slow start. Needle. I'll definitely fetch in response to that. I'm just gonna get a Bayou. I wonder if they probably just name Knight here. They could also name Wasteland because they're a little bit open to being wastelanded. Yeah. That's a pretty great draw. I'm gonna play the Savannah, because even if they, for some reason, play another Needle and name Verdant Catacombs, we can use the Scrib Ranger to pick up a land and replay it for 3 mana next turn. I mean, they could just have it land Lotus Crop does it, but at least now we have a blocker in the air, we have removal and also Knight, so feeling pretty good. Elvish Spirit Guide? No. Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that Wasteland is just probably the first thing you should always name if you are kind of in the blind or against a deck like this with Needle. What was named by Needle? Wasteland was named by Needle. There's Urborg, and we know they have Elvish Spirit Guide, so if they have crop rotation, they just have it, which is pretty scary. I'm just going to play the Dried Arbor and pass. Because then I can hold up Swords to Plowshares. And then next turn I can play the Knight with also Swords to Plowshares open. There is a world where Script Ranger is just fine here, and I could play the Knight. But we know they have Elvish Spirit Guard in hand. And if they have Crop Rotation, then they can also go off this turn, and then they can top deck into... I guess they can't top deck into Crop Rotation. They could only top deck into Step. So I don't think they actually have a straight out to the Script Ranger. So maybe I'm actually talking myself into playing the Knight, because what they will have left over is just Urborg, Swamp, and a 20/20, which means that they can't really do anything. So I am going to play a fetch land here, and I am going to sack it. And I am going to get a scrub land and go for it. Hey, Exa. Yeah, playing Mum and Scrib. I haven't dropped Scrib yet, even without Mum, but I can definitely see the reasoning why you should. Or where you could make that slot a little better, let's say. Okay, that gives them the green source, but it's going to tap them out as well, so... I could have actually attacked with the Scrib Ranger there, and it was definitely wrong not to. Here's Spirit Guide, there's Scrying, okay. So they get the depths, that's fine. They have one card left. Yeah, I was only playing the 4 once upon a time. I was only playing 3, sorry, because I really like 2 library. So I took out the 3 onces and put in 3 mums. This is actually pretty interesting. I kind of want to use the swords on the Marit Lage if they have Not of This World, because then we can just use Karakas off the Knight. So I think sword first is fine. Okay, well they just, yeah, okay, they just conceded. Yeah, because at least if they counter it, they don't gain the life, and then we have a clean out through Karakas, but I think we just drew quite well there, so pretty lucky. I do like the parts. I don't really like Thalia. Plague Engineer is interesting. It can turn off Hexmage in a way, but not sure if that is worth it. It can actually also deal with Sylvan Safekeeper, which I actually do like, so I think that's fair. I don't mind the mums, the swords, the mana acceleration. Decays are fine, especially if they have Steely Resolve. Collect Oof is meh. It can turn off Lotus Petal, but usually it's a little bit too late. I don't mind Thoughtseize. Scoos is also interesting. It is a way to get back some life, but usually it's pretty dead. I'm just going to go the extra Thoughtseize. Chalice on 1 can be pretty good, but it also gives them pretty clear information that we can't hold up Swords to Plowshares or Path, which is a little bit tough. But yeah, their deck is pretty low to the ground, so Chalice on 1 does turn off a lot from all the hand disruption, crop rotation. It sounds pretty good. I mean, a turn 1 mana accelerant into Knight, which can deal with Pithy Needle, and then we have swords, so... Right. Plague is pretty sweet. Let's go for a Savannah. Hey Samu, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Plague's actually the perfect card here for the Sylvan Safekeeper, so let's try to stay away from hand disruption. One-time dealer. Just a pass. I guess they could attack, yeah. I believe this is just a human wizard. I think it's better to name human than anything else, just in case they're running Dark Confidant. Or Hexmage, I believe, is a shaman. I think it's a vampire shaman. Plague Engineer on Avatar, spicy. Unfortunately not. Spirit Guide scrying, okay. The Knight's interesting as well because I could just gain 4, go to 22, and kind of get an extra turn off Hexmage. Playing it out like that is very interesting. I can Thoughtseize first, which is really nice. Yeah, it kind of makes me think they have like Elvish Spirit Guide and Crop Rotation. No, okay, that is... Okay, this makes sense. You know, it also blocks the Plague Engineer from attacking, so... This is actually pretty interesting. It's definitely a Hex Mage, but it's just a case of how do I want to play this game out now? Do I want to use this Abrupt Decay on the Hex Mage in play just to start getting in some damage? Please draw another Plague Engineer. Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Yeah, Vampire Shaman. Okay, cool. I think I am just going to go Decay it and just start attacking because that's my way to win. I don't have much else to do. And we know about our opponent's hand, which is nice. Yeah, still having Plow's really nice as well. It might just be pass here. It's funny because I guess I could play the Knight as a 4-3, but they can take the counters off it if they really wanted to. Probably rather keep the Knight just in case they play something else next. Hey, Walked. Ooh, what did you play? Because I definitely played someone called Walked. Yeah, what was your list? Oh, were you on the Reanimator Doomsday deck? That deck was sick. Doomsday is just incredibly difficult for my deck to deal with, which is tough. But yeah, kudos, man. Entombsday, okay. I like that. Can I ask you a question? Is every day Entombsday? It's a horrible joke. Ah, come on. Opponent buying some time here, which is pretty rough. But it looks like that is drawing into lands anyway. We know they have a Spirit Guide. And 1 card. And if it's Crop Rotation, it's Crop Rotation. It looks like they're casting something. It could just be, yeah, casting Spirit Guide. Okay. It's pretty good. Green Suns, 1 time. Ah. Alright, 1 more turn, and then we might consider playing this Knight of Autumn out. Because now they get to start beating down. Yeah. It's a little bit scary. There's the Spirit Guide. No, they want to cast it. Yeah. Alright. I see how this is going to play out. I am going to grab Dryad Arbor Really don't want to draw another land here. Want to draw some gas. Hopefully start firing out on all cylinders. There we go. That's a great draw. They have one card left as well. It looks like they're just going for it, perhaps. Through crop rotation. Now this is interesting because I can go after the Vampire Hexmage here. Which is probably correct because I probably don't want to give them 20 life. They have 0 cards in hand. So if we do this, worst case is probably they draw into another Hexmage, but they only have 1 left. They draw into a Thespian stage. It's not the worst because we have the Knight for Caracas. So I think I'd rather just go for it. Hey Bara, very cool to see you. Hope you're doing well. I know you took a pretty big break from Magic. I am going to go after the Hexmage here. What do they get if we plow? I think they still go for Dark Depths. Yeah, I'm just going to go for the Hexmage now. It just makes the clock a little bit cleaner. Mark, are you going to play the Eternal Weekend? Maybe bring back Death and Taxes to another top 8 finish? No, okay, that's fair enough. I know you play guitar. How's that going? I know you're very good with guitar. I've seen one of your videos. Decay on Night. Wow, that's actually really good. Now, do I want to trade? I think I'm happy taking this. If I draw to another Plague Engineer, I can just name Spirit Guide. But I think now it's a choice of playing out this Knight as a 4/3 and attacking with these guys. Are you getting surgery? Rough. Okay. What did you do to your elbow? How'd you injure it? No attacks. Nice. 1 card left in opponent's hand. Mum's actually pretty interesting. I am going to attack with... No, I'm not going to attack. I do want to hold them back just for 1 more turn. Neo form is very interesting. Oh, they played the Safekeeper? Haha. Sadly, Plague Engineer is naming human. Library's actually pretty nice. We're in a pretty low life total here, but I think it's okay. It's a Legacy Neo form with Allosaurus Shepherd. That sounds pretty disgusting, to be frank. Thoughtseize. Okay. So if they're going to take it, I might as well use it. Okay, they're just going to give up. Rough. Well, at least we get the 4-1, which is pretty nice. Definitely a tough matchup for Turbodeps there. Where are we? What did we just play with? September? Yeah, September version. What decks did we face? That's a good question. We faced Blue-White Miracle. No, Blue-White's Show and Tell. We got up there. We placed BUG Hogaak. We got up there. We played against White Eldrazi and got up there. We just played against Turbodeps and got up, and then we lost to a Reanimator and Doomsday deck, like a Tin Fins that sides into Doomsday. There's a name for it before. It was like Tuesday. What did Walked call it? Emtombsdays, there we go. Sweet name. Yes, this is interesting. This is where I'm currently at with Legacy Maverick, and I think where it's at a pretty good position. The big question that I'm asking myself is playing Mother the correct decision, or should I be playing Once Upon a Times? Once Upon a Times are nice because they do make some of your keeps a little bit easier. They do give you a bit of consistency in the late game as well. But I do feel that Maverick already has some really good consistency with it. With things like the 4 Green Suns, 4 Sylvan Library, 4 Knight of the Reliquary. I kind of like Mum because it allows me to protect some of the creatures that I really want to protect in matchups that aren't the greatest. Mainly Thalia, Collector Oof, and Gaddock Teeg are the, I guess, Scavenging Ooze to some extent, are 3 cards that you really want to keep. The one reason that I don't like Mum is that she's pretty bad against Dreadhorde Iconist. If they bolt Mum and then just flash it back and bolt something else, Mum doesn't really do anything. Of course, Mum isn't that great against Oko. I feel like Rug Delver is the big one here because the deck just has so many more ways to make you react first with Mother of Runes, which makes Mum obviously a whole lot worse. Hey Boyd, sadly you missed it. We went 4-1. We went down to what Walked in chat is calling Entombsday, which is pretty cool. It's a Tin Fins deck that sides into Doomsday. Pretty brutal. But yeah, now we're just discussing the deck for the weekend, for Eternal Weekend, which should be pretty cool. And if Mother of Runes is really worth it. I think she is. I don't expect too many Plague Engineered decks. I do expect a lot of Fair Magic though, and I think Mum's really good there, which is nice. Yeah, I saw Achilles play a game where he got to get, I think, 3 engineers out against elves, which is pretty nuts. And of course, that's where Once Upon a Time is so good, is that it allows you to dig for non-green threats or non-land threats, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so even little things like Mum is obviously quite good. Most people know how she works. But do they know how it works with Scrib Ranger, and that you can actually untap Mum and get, like, you know, an extra ability out of it? So if they go bolt your Mum and you go to save it, and then they go, okay, abrupt decay your Mum, and you go Scrib Ranger, untap it. Maybe they didn't see that. Little things like, you know, maybe it's the tough part is though is this column is there we are, yeah, 10 humans with X1 toughness, so 10 creatures in the deck that are pretty prone to Plague Engineer. Of course, Mum is never going to allow you to get through a Plague Engineer, which is tough as well. So I love the saying, "I play your Mum" is a perfectly acceptable statement in Legacy. Yeah, pretty funny especially because a lot of people who respond to "I play your Mum," a lot of them will be like, "Yeah, solid play." Or like, yeah, good play. It's like, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think I might even try to get a last ditch league in tomorrow night, just so I can see how the Mums are, because I haven't had much chance to play around with her. So, always play the Mum. Yeah, always bolt the Arcanist. Come on now. The other card is Felidar Retreat, which I really like the thought of, but I haven't had much time to play with it. I do like it over a Planeswalker because a lot of the decks that can't deal with Planeswalkers on the stack have to deal with them through combat damage. But of course, Felidar Retreat can't be hit. It's Julian in chat, who of course runs the Everyday Eternal podcast, brought up a really nice benefit of Felidar Retreat is that it's just a really good threat that can't be Pyroblasted, which is pretty good. What do I cite it in for? I cite in Felidar Retreat for Snow, for Maverick, for any sort of like blue-white control list, I'll definitely bring it in. Mainly for the sort of mid-range control mirrors, I think is pretty good. Lands have been running. Ah, yes, I believe it's a June. It's a desert and it's called something Junes, which is pretty cool. But I think the issue is trying to find it. Yeah, Grasping Dunes, that's it. So Grasping Dunes allows you to... Why is it better than Field of the Dead? if you're referring to Felidar Retreat and why it's better than Field of the Dead, I think it's because Maverick hardly ever gets to 7 lands in play, which is pretty tough. And especially different lands. We don't have too many different things. You could change maybe one of the basics to a snow-covered basic, but I think because Felidar Retreat, you know, if we're getting to 7 or 8 mana, we're probably doing okay. But yeah, Field's actually very hard to trigger for this deck, which is pretty tough. I think it's, yeah, because we don't have enough lands, which is, yeah, a little bit hard, but I did want to try to find room for Elvish Reclaimer in this list, because obviously that's really good with Felidar Retreat as well, but yeah, Field is really nice versus Oko, and I think it's another reason why I really like Felidar Retreat, because Maverick has a pretty rough matchup against Snow, but at least Felidar Retreat is a really big haymaker that, once it's in play, I don't think they have a real way to get rid of it. Maybe something like Teferi Bounce or Assassin's Trophy, but that's probably it. So that's pretty interesting. I'm not sure on the Thoughtseize either. It's either Thoughtseize or Deafening Silence. Thoughtseize comes in against a fair amount of decks, which is nice. Deafening Silence is a little bit more narrow. But if I am wanting to beat out some of the combo decks, then maybe I do have to just go for Deafening Silence, because it's obviously a lot harder to beat for a combo deck than Thoughtseize is. Gideon Ally of Zendikar is definitely a better top deck than Retreat, because Felidar Retreat relies on other cards to actually get value out of it. But Gideon can be attacked, which is pretty rough. That's the big reason why I don't like it over Gideon. And again, some of the Snow decks attacking with Gideon can be a little bit rough because of Swords to Plowshares. But yeah, I think that because Retreat is so good with Knight as well, it's a pretty big consideration. But yeah, I think Gideon is obviously a very powerful card, and could definitely be a thought in this deck because of the mums and the amount of X1s in the deck. I want another way to get rid of, or at least play around Plague Engineers to some extent. But I just want to try it. I haven't been able to draw it against these decks that I've been playing, but I feel it should be pretty good. So we'll see how that goes. The 3-3 split has been really nice as well, of Abrupt Decays and Swords to Plowshares. Swords sometimes get stuck in your hand a little bit too long. And Abrupt Decay's just got that, what's the word? It's here, it's there. It's got the, what's the word? It's a lot more, it can do everything. What's the word for that? Oh, I know the word. It's on the tip of my tongue, I swear. Abrupt Decay. Versatile. There we go. Abrupt Decay is so much more versatile that you can deal with threats that Swords just can't. Thank you. So something like, you know, even the Tez and Ant matchups, sometimes if they pick you on a Thalia deck and they have a slow start, they might play out something like a Lotus Petal or LED early on, which gives you actually an answer or a target for the Abrupt Decay, which is kind of cool, but Swords is usually pretty dead. Outside of winning through swordsing your own creature in response to like a Tendrils, it's usually the first card taken out. Yeah, the one reason that I like Path is mainly against Turbo Depths, which I guess it's also pretty good against Rug Delver because they don't play the basics. That's the big reason of just having an extra 5 to 6 of Swords to Plowshares. It's really good against Marit Lage because you win those games through combat damage, and of course giving your opponent 20 more life is going to reset that a fair amount. But Turbo Depths, I would say, isn't really needed to be considered because it is such a good matchup, and even lands. So I think the reasoning for Path is just, it's really good against the Delver decks, and most of the Delver decks are on Rug, and Rug doesn't play basics. It's obviously quite good in the mirror as well. It's quite good in the Death and Taxes matchup. It's just a really solid one CMC piece of removal, which I kind of like. Hey Sylvan, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. But yeah, I think overall, pretty happy with the deck. I really like the consistency of double Sylvan Library, double Plague Engineer, double Kaya. That's been really nice. Kaya's also been pretty good. Even as just a quick way to end the game a little bit faster, which is good. Is that the looter that gets +3/+1 for instants and sorceries in the graveyard. I haven't seen too much of her. I did see her in a blue-red Delver list that sadly just didn't do too much. We had the decay for it when it came down, and of course it didn't get to untap and start discarding cards. It does seem pretty powerful. I think as far as 2-drops go, I'm definitely more scared of Dreadhorde Arcanist. And maybe even Young Pyromancer. I definitely don't fear Young Pyromancer too much with the extra decays and the Plague Engineers. But if I was on green-white, Young Pyromancer is pretty rough because you don't have great ways to deal with go-wide strategies. Once creatures are on the board, you kind of have to deal with them with either 1-for-1 removal or trade with them with your creatures, which is pretty rough. And Ruby Storm. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Ruby Storm's an interesting one. I'm not too sure what I expect for the weekend either. That's going to be a pretty interesting one. I think that Rug Delver, Snowco, BUG Hogaak will be pretty big. I think that like you could probably put Death and Taxes and Maverick in the same sort of shell will be pretty big as well. So in that regard, I feel pretty good about playing Maverick. I think it really is just some of the fast combo decks that I do have to worry about. And maybe it's a case of playing something like Deafening Silence in the board. Over the Thoughtseizers. As good as Thoughtseize is, I feel it's better when you have the surgical package as well, just in case. But playing Ley Lines is just so good. We had Teeg in the board, and one more card. It was the extra sword. So this is interesting. So we have like combo hate, we have mid-range and removal, and then graveyard hate. So we do have a bit of everything covered. There's some play to changing one Felidar Retreat to a different Planeswalker, just to change things up. But yeah, I think overall it's pretty good. I think if you're on Maverick, you should definitely be prepared for changing your list pretty dramatically if you're going to play against combo. So now that you've altered the sideboard, let's try it on another league. Maybe tomorrow night for sure. It's getting pretty late here and I am going to go to bed. So a huge thank you to everyone who came in and followed and resubbed. Pretty happy with the 4-1, but there's also room for improvement. So hopefully I'll be back pretty much this time tomorrow night at around 7:30, which is in 22 hours. A huge thank you. Very cool to see Mark in here, Julian, of course. I'm going to see who else is playing. I think Anzi is actually streaming as well, so I'll quickly send you guys over there. Oh, you stopped. Oh, rough. Okay. I know Flow True is. You're more than welcome, dude. That's modern. Yeah, Flow True's a really good player. He usually plays Dicebox. I'm just going to quickly see these other players and see if we have any playing Legacy. Modern, Standard, ugh, Modern. Come on now. Actually, Sergeant's playing. This is not Legacy. Or is it? Actually, this looks like Legacy. No, it's not. Okay. I'm going to send you guys over to Flow. There we go. Nice. A huge thank you. If you guys want to find me on Twitter, you can find me here in the chat. If you want to find me on YouTube, you can find me here. It has all my recorded leagues as well, which aren't streamed, which is kind of cool, with a bit of commentary. I hope you guys have a great week. Enjoy. Hopefully see some of you tomorrow night. Hopefully see some of you during Eternal Weekend. It should be really fun. Until then, stay safe. Thank you very much. Bye.